Welcome to Rico and Hook, the #1 weekly sports talk show on Wayne Hills.
The NFL just wrapped up its regular season, and the NBA is nearing the halfway point of its own. We will also be bringing you our usual sports prediction segment and our segment on sports news from around the world.
I'm Rico. Just kidding. I'm Marisa. Rico's laid up at home.
And I'm Hook, and this is Rico and Hook.
So, starting off, we got to talk about the NFL. The Bills win 35-23. How do you feel?
I mean, overall, such an amazing team this past season. Obviously, with everything that went on with Damar Hamlin, it was really nice to see them go out and just give it their all. I mean, I thought the MVP of that game was 100% Nyheim Hines. I mean, he had those 2 kick returns for touchdowns. I mean, he's did an amazing job, and just like the rest of his team, I thought he brought his all. So, I mean, what do you feel about that game?
I mean, 101 yards. That's kind of unheard of. And I saw after the game, Josh Allen said that hasn't happened in exactly 3 years and 3 months. And that was kind of sentimental. And they started crying. But, I mean, when they were down 13-0, I was shocked. But I had a little faith in the Patriots just because they were so good for so long. And I kind of feel bad for them now that they're horrible. But, I mean, 2 returns. What was the other one? 96 yards? 101 and 96 yards?
I mean, Nyheim Hines just overall didn't...
Crazy.
Just so well on the kick returns. And now we're going to move into Rob Gronkowski, a former tight end, played for the Patriots, like you said before, played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but a few teams have kind of been itching to lure him in back into the NFL. He isn't 100% retired, so how would you feel if Rob Gronkowski returns to the NFL?
I'd be happy. I mean, I love Gronk. I think he's like electric on the field. He's so fun, and you can tell everybody loves him and everyone loves to be around him. I remember a couple months ago he tweeted, he's like, "I'm bored." And he probably is bored, and I wouldn't blame him for wanting to come out of retirement, but any team would be lucky to have him. But I think he's going to want to go to a good team. If he's going to come out, he's going to want to be on a #1 team because he's a #1 player, and he's a big shot kind of guy. I don't blame him.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely a personality. I mean, we've seen Gronk on and off the field. He's just a crazy dude. And like you said, he just brings a lot of energy that I think any team would like. And, speaking of people that have been kind of vocal recently, Brandon Cooks of the Houston Texans, wide receiver, says he doesn't want to play for a rebuilding team anymore, obviously, with how bad the Texans were this last season. I'm not sure if he can really get out of this kind of rabbit hole that he's in with them. But, I mean, if Brandon Cooks were to leave, do you feel like what he's saying is justified for wanting to play for a contender?
Yes and no. I think it's always a little disheartening to everybody when you hear that. But you also feel bad saying, oh, wow, he's so good, he's this and that, but he's not getting a chance, There's certain players that need that chance and want that chance, and you don't blame them. But you also have to think about that team was willing to take the chance on you, and they wanted you. But he's been passed around so many times. I can't blame him for wanting to go and be on a steady team that wins and plays. I mean, the Texans, they had a rough season. Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, he kind of reminds me of Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, he's a veteran wide receiver who just really wants to play for a team with a quarterback. I mean, we saw Odell with the Giants, he had Eli Manning, he had Daniel Jones, but, I mean, rookie Daniel Jones, so not, the greatest version of him. But, I mean, I think he just wants to play for a team with a quarterback where he can, utilize his best potential. Now, speaking on the Giants, lost 22-16. However, they did clinch the playoffs last week. So, do you think this is a disheartening loss? Obviously, they didn't play most of their starters, but, is this kind of a sign of what's to come in the first round of the playoffs?
I'm a little shaky in the Giants, I'm not going to lie. I think they were so much better than usual this season that we can't put all of our faith in them. There's only so much Giant greatness to be had, and they lost this. I know they weren't playing all their guys like you said, but I don't think it's going to be good. Sorry. How about you?
I mean, I dissed Daniel Jones at the start of the season. He's a former Duke Blue Devil quarterback. And
favorite?
I love Duke University sports, everything from basketball to football to baseball. But, I mean, still, I just thought, coming out of college, he wasn't really all that. And obviously playing for the crosstown rivals, if you will, me being a Jet fan, I just wasn't huge on his game. But, I mean, he definitely showed up. And like I said, it is kind of ironic, a bit hypocritical of me to not like Daniel Jones' game since he went to my favorite school. But, I mean, just overall, I think he did just such a great job, really stepped up and was that guy for this Giants team, something that no Jets quarterback has done in many years. And now, speaking of which, lost to the Dolphins, one of the worst games I think I've ever seen in my life. Not a single touchdown scored, all field goals, and of course that safety. How did you feel about that Jets-Dolphins game?
That was the worst football game I've ever watched. I kept wanting to shut the TV off, but it was so bad that I wanted to keep watching to see if it could get worse, and it did. I mean, not a single touchdown scored. That seems fake. Like, it wasn't a real football game. Field goals and then the end lateral. Do you want to talk about that, or are we going to bypass that?
You know,
You're the Jet fan.
I think I got to rant a little bit about that. I mean, you know, obviously season was over. I thought, you know, might as well give it their all. I mean, they had many 4th-and-1 opportunities. They had 3 4th-and-1 opportunities, and they punted on every single one. The season's over. There's really no point in doing that. And, you know, at the end of the game, I think their coach, Robert Saleh, just realized, hey, might as well go for it. Might as well do something a little fun, get the guys going, a little practice. But, you know, instead of throwing a Hail Mary pass, instead of going deep, they go for a screen pass to Eli Moore and eventually start lateraling around until they tried to get it back to Joe Flacco, and obviously did not work, ended up getting safety. I'm glad for the Dolphins. My dad's a Dolphins fan, so he was pretty happy about that.
How does that work in your house?
It is tough. Two AFC East teams. You know, it's tough talking about the two teams. I mean, especially since they've been so bad these last few years. But I'm proud of the Dolphins. I mean, with such great players like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, obviously their quarterback situation is kind of shaken up with Tua's injuries. But, I mean, overall, I thought they did really well this year, and I'm glad they clinched the playoffs.
Yeah, especially after they lost that coach. That was so amazing. I mean, I'm glad they stuck it out. But that'll wrap things up for the NFL segment. Don't go anywhere. Rico doesn't know much about the NBA, but I do. So when we come back, we'll be talking about the...
So welcome back. A lot's going on at the halfway point of the NBA season. So first of all, the Knicks unfortunately lost to the Bucks 117-111. Just an awful loss. Couldn't make their free throws. But, you know, one of the high points was point guard Jalen Brunson, 44 points. He's been on a roll lately. How do you feel about this Knicks point guard?
I mean, he's electric. You can see he's definitely putting his all in, but I feel kind of bad for the Knicks because are you a Knicks fan? Is that why you're sulking right now?
Huge Knicks fan, and it's been tough for many seasons, but, you know, right now, hopefully they're picking it up, but I'm gonna let you keep going.
I thought you guys got lucky with him. I mean, he puts up numbers like that. He's electric. He's kind of a team leader, but, you know, the Knicks are still not putting it together. You're still not gluing all the pieces on, the puzzle. I don't know if it's one piece that's missing or if there's only one piece to the puzzle and everything else is missing. I can't figure it out, but the Knicks need help.
So right now we are sitting at the 7th seed, just under 500. I think, you know, we've definitely been looking better than we were last year. We had the 11th pick
you
last
guys were
year.
Really bad.
Obviously, we ended up, I see how it is. All right. I mean, you know, it's kind of, you know, I'm used to the Knicks hatred from everybody of all 29 other NBA teams. But I think they've been picking it up recently. Julius Randle is looking so much better than he was last year. I thought Jalen Brunson was an amazing pickup. You know, a guy that I would like to see, you know, pick things up is RJ Barrett. Amazing first 20-point season last year, and now he's kind of in that area. You know, he's at 19. He's at 19.5 points per game right now this season, but I would love to see him pick things back up and improve on last season. And now moving into another small forward in New York, Kevin Durant sprained his MCL, the same MCL that just 2 or 3 seasons ago he tore and missed the entire season for. So, I mean, obviously one of the greatest players of all time. How do you feel about his injury history, and how does that kind of taint his legacy?
I think, as you said, he's still going to be one of the greatest. He still is one of the greatest, but it's really hard to say that when he's constantly being hurt and we're not getting to see him play. Like, when you're at that status, you need to be able to keep your body healthy and perform properly so that the fans can watch you. I mean, like, everyone likes watching Durant, LeBron, Russell Westbrook. I know you're not a fan.
I don't think many people like watching Russell Westbrook recently.
I think there's more than you think, but you know, it's hard when he keeps getting hurt. 2 seasons ago, I mean, that was probably his prime, you would say, right? That was when he was really at his best, and then it kind of fell apart, and now it's only 2 weeks, but let's just hope he gets healthy. stays healthy, and then that's it for a good amount of time.
I mean, and, going off of that, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, these guys kind of seem like they don't even have a true prime. It's like their entire careers, they've been those guys
Beasts,
on their teams, and they never really seem to slow down. And speaking of LeBron, just turned 38 just 2 weeks ago, and since his 38th birthday, he's been averaging 35-plus points a game, which is insane. He was named Player of the Week in the Western Conference. Donovan Mitchell was named Player of the Week in the Eastern Conference, obviously after that amazing 71-point near triple-double game. How do you feel about these two players kind of leading their conferences?
They're both crazy and elite, and I think from LeBron James, like, we're expecting it now because it's not stopping. It's never slowing down. He's been everywhere, and he's played the same. He's played great, and I'm really happy for him. I think he deserves it. I think a lot of people love watching him. A lot of kids look up to him, and he's a great role model, and I think he's the NBA role model almost, or like the icon, and I think for him to be the face of the NBA and be Player of the Week, it makes sense. Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, he's 38 years old, and players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was averaging, 10-4 at 38. He's averaging 29 and 7 and 8 right now,
Crazy.
Which is a near triple-double per game from a guy who's 38 years old. It's insane to see. And, speaking of which, LeBron James on the Los Angeles Lakers, they've been, kind of on the uprise recently. Obviously, Anthony Davis is still injured, but, once he comes back, they're going to be looking like the Los Angeles Lakers once again. But they're still another piece away from, being that championship contender that LeBron really hopes they are. At the start of the season, when he signed that 2-year contract extension, he really wanted, an extra piece for him. They have those 2 picks that are, big assets to the team. So recently there has been trade rumors, them with the Magic, them with the Pistons, the Jazz, a lot of teams that the Lakers are looking forward to trading with. So if you could say, one key player, either role model, role player, or, star player that the Lakers could use right now, who would you say?
Oh, this is hard. I mean, the Lakers, in my opinion, I don't think the Lakers need much more. I think they need someone young, scrappy, hungry, who's going to get in there and help them out. I don't think they need someone like LeBron. I think LeBron carries the team on his back. That's what he's good at. I don't think the Lakers need another big guy. I think they need kind of a quiet, someone who will do their job, do the role, but play at the same level as LeBron. Someone with that talent level and skill level to take them there, but it doesn't need to be a loud guy, name known, like Kevin Durant. It doesn't need to be a household name. Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, I know I asked the question, what assets should they add? But, I mean, overall, I think they're good with where they are. I think, like you said, another role player or two would be great. Once again, young guys, they've got players like Austin Reeves, players like Max Christie, who are just great shooters, great all around. They love the game, they're young, and they're going to be on the uprise. And I think that's the perfect guy to have built around LeBron James. And now moving into kind of a more fun story, Jared Jeffries, a former New York Knick, former Los Angeles Laker as well, was on a celebrity episode of The Price is Right. And he actually won a BMW, which is, it's a bit of an odd story considering, he is a millionaire. I'm sure, there's no way he
probably has 5.
He can probably afford a BMW 3 Series. But, it was kind of funny seeing, him on the show. I mean, we've seen a lot of retired players kind of doing a lot since retiring for the NBA. How do you feel about, Jared Jeffries and other retired NBA players kind of moving into more entertainment style industry after the NBA?
I think it's great. I mean, we usually see, I think nowadays celebrities and athletes are almost equal. Even the athletes who are still playing in their professional sports, like, the guys in the MLB, the NFL, they're almost like celebrities. Like Tom Brady, he's on every commercial. I mean, now Shaq's retired, but he's on every commercial I see too. And I think it's great because they're almost put at the same playing field anyway, so they might as well have fun and keep the people going. Like, my dad loves seeing Shaq as the general or the Shaq-a-roni pizza he has. I mean, it's great. People love it, and I think it keeps them almost youthful in a way. It keeps their audience growing, and it keeps the fans that they have still attracted to them and giving them something to enjoy.
I mean, yeah, like you said, you can't walk into a Best Buy without seeing Shaq's face on a refrigerator. But, that'll do it for our segment on the NBA. Now, don't go anywhere. We'll continue our show with our weekly sports prediction segment when we come back.
Welcome back. Next up, we have our sports prediction segments. So, Jason, we know you love college basketball. This must be your favorite time of the year, March Madness. Are you pulling for Duke all the way, or are you going to pull for a team that's a little better?
You know, I mean, they're ranked 24th in the AP poll out of 25 right now. I think they would end up being a 4 seed if the season ended today. I think they can pull things around, maybe end up being a 2 seed by the end of the season. This is a Duke team that throughout the season I've had, kind of hope for, but also, the exact opposite. I've seen games where I think this is a team that can go to the Final Four, and I've seen games where I thought this isn't a team that's going to make it past the round of 32. So
at least you're honest.
I mean, yeah. It's, with me, it's tough being a sports fan, being a Jets fan, a Knicks fan, and obviously the Yankees, unfortunately, these past 2 seasons. But
yeah,
I mean, going back to Duke, I think they have a shot like they do every year. But if I'm going with one team that I think is going to win it all, I think I got to go with Purdue. I mean, they lost Jaden Ivey obviously last year to the draft, but I mean, they just have such an amazing roster. Just overall, they got Zach Adey, who's 7'4", commanding that defense, and being that tall, being at center, he's just one of the star players in the entirety of college basketball. So if I'm going with one team to win it all, I'm going with Purdue. How about you?
See, I'm gonna pull for the sleeper Houston. They're usually solid every year. They're usually always good. I know that they're 1 right now, but I don't think that means anything. I know their conference is different. They're in Conference the America, right, or USA. They play Tulane. They play, they don't play Power 5 schools, but that doesn't mean anything. I would definitely don't sleep on Houston. And Gonzaga's always a solid contester. I definitely wouldn't count them out, but I'm going to go either Gonzaga or Houston.
I mean, yeah, Houston's just such a well put together team. I think, I was surprised with them going into this year. I mean, I wasn't expecting much, but, when you got guys like Jarris Walker at the power forward position and overall just an amazing front court in general, I mean, they've just been doing so well this year. I'm just really excited to see what they can do for the rest of the season. And now Cristiano Ronaldo just recently signed with a new club in Saudi Arabia, Al Nassr. Rumors that he could potentially be playing against Lionel Messi towards the end of the month. We're going to get into that later on in the show, but to start off, Lionel Messi has been rumored that he may be going to another club come next year. So if you were to take your pick, Cristiano Ronaldo with his new team and Lionel Messi with his future new team, who do you think is going to find new success in their new home?
I think Ronaldo is. I think he's hungry. He's mad. He's a little upset that it didn't go his way last season, and I think he's going to really, really push to get as far as he can and go as far as he can, because he probably has a little bit of, not hatred, but he's a little annoyed at, his teammates and Messi, and he probably wants to look like the next, because they're always compared so much as to being the 2 greatest. I think now he wants that edge. Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality. He just
yeah.
he wants to be the best, and he'll stop at nothing. I mean, Lionel Messi obviously won the World Cup with Argentina, and he's been seen as the greatest player of all time for years now. But I mean, with Ronaldo kind of having that edge currently skill-wise, and Ronaldo moving to a new place where he can be the number 1 guy. Obviously, he had, his struggles with Manchester United with their front office, but now that he can be the number 1 guy in a team that's focused on building around him, I think that's going to just propel him. And once again, that Mamba mentality, I think he just wants to be the best. And I think, once again, Ronaldo is going to have more success with his team than Messi will.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's Ronaldo. I think he's going to want to put that edge over, and he's going to want to try and one-up him.
I mean, yeah, neither one of us nor Jake Salarico knows a lot about soccer. I watch from time to time, but, moving into another sport that I know absolutely nothing about, and this is the jarring question that everybody's wondering is, will they talk about hockey on Rico and Hook? I mean, if you had to make your guess, do you think in the future episodes, not this episode, but in the future, before June, do you think we will mention hockey at all on Rico and Hook?
Yes. I think you're going to have to, or else you're going to lose viewers. Hockey is surprisingly a very big sport. I mean, it may not seem like it, but I think there's a lot of, there are a lot of cult followers. Like, if you like hockey, you're diehard hockey, you love hockey. And I think you're going to get a lot of complaints, and people are going to be annoyed, and then maybe they'll just ban and strike watching your show. You never know. So I think you need to do what the people ask. They're not asking for a whole 30-minute segment. They just want to throw in the news about hockey. Hey, this happened. Hey, the Flyers have won 3 in a row. Hey, we're not asking for an hour segment. That's all. What do you think? You're going to do it?
Well, first off, I don't think the Flyers are ever going to win 3 games in a row.
So maybe we shouldn't talk about hockey.
Number 2, I don't think we're ever going in depth on hockey on this show. I'm not going to lie. Whether it's a lack of viewers or what, it's hockey. We'll throw it to the curb.
Might lose some viewers right now.
We'll throw it on the ice, get called for offsides. Now, next up, we had a chance to ask a few students on their thoughts on who's going to win the next World Series in the MLB. So let's roll the clip.
The New York Mets are going to win the World Series because of all of their offseason additions with Justin Verlander and Brandon Nimmo getting extended. So they're going to have a really great year next season, and they're going to make it all the way to the end and win the World Series.
Me personally, I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, so I really, really hope that they win the World Series this year because that would be super fun for me.
I think that the New York Yankees are going to win the World Series this year because they're the best team in the league.
So a lot of great answers. If you had to make your choice, Marissa, who do you have winning the World Series next year?
See, this is controversial because I do like the Phillies, and I think they're going to be really good. Trey Turner, best shortstop, I think, right now. I think that's going to be a huge, huge thing for the Phillies. But Bryce Harper's going to be out until almost the All-Star break. I think he comes back like a week after. That's a big loss for the Phillies. He's the team motivator. He's the main guy. He's so electric on that field. He brings everybody together. And, I can't see the Phillies not doing well, but I think a team like the Dodgers or the Padres that are just, closing their eyes, signing checks to players to be like a super team and having no pay cap, that could be deadly. I definitely think the Padres and the Dodgers are 2 teams that, and I know that they're going neck and neck against each other, but it'll definitely be one of them. What do you think?
I usually don't like answering this question because it's always 2 teams that I absolutely despise, but like I said it on a previous episode, I think the Astros still have the best team in all of baseball. I still think they have the one-up on every single team in baseball, and if I had to make my choice right now, unfortunately, between 2 teams, one's an AL team, one's an NL team, if I had to make my choice as a Yankee fan, it's tough, but I would say either the Astros or the Mets would be the 2023 World Series champion. I know they missed out on Carlos Correa, which we will get into later in the show. But, you just look at the Mets roster, and they're one of the best teams in the MLB on paper. So, again, it's hard for me to say because of how much I love the Yankees. But if I had to go with 1 or 2 teams in this case, I would go with the Astros or Mets.
Okay. That'll do it for our sports prediction segment. Don't go anywhere. We will finish the show with our sports news segment when we get back.
End off the show with sports news from around the world. So first off, huge win for the Georgia Bulldogs, 65-7. I personally was not expecting that, but how did you feel about this national championship game?
I was not expecting that at all. I wanted TCU to win, and I didn't think they were going to win, but I didn't think it would be that big of a deficit. But I knew right away when Georgia scored within the first couple minutes, I knew that they looked so powerful. I feel bad for TCU, but I feel like I didn't expect it to be this bad, but it was pretty bad. 65-7 is rough. How do you feel?
TCU, as much as I hate to say it, because I was really gunning for them, but they're not an all-around, well put together team outside of Max Duggan, who I felt carried the offense. I know I've said it many times on the show. He's one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football because he was able to carry such a, not bad team, but, an average team to the national championship. But I know a lot of people make jokes about him, but Stetson Bennett is one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. I know people say, "Oh, he's the same age as Lamar Jackson." I've seen,
he's almost as good as Lamar Jackson.
I've seen meme pages post, "Oh, Stetson Bennett's the same age as Tom Brady, and he's still playing college football."
That's funny.
But it's overall, he's just such a great quarterback, and Georgia, like the past few years, they've been just such a well put together team that. I'm not surprised that they won, but still, I can't not be surprised that they won 65-7 because it was just insane. That's 3 passing touchdowns for Stetson Bennett and 2 rushing touchdowns. That's just unheard of.
Do you think now Georgia's going to have the slight edge over Alabama in not only like the viewers' eyes, but in the way that the SEC, I feel like it's always been Alabama, Georgia, but Alabama's kind of always had that edge just because the last few years they've been so powerful. Do you think Georgia will continue on to now be over Alabama?
Yeah, I think with the past 2 or 3 seasons now, Georgia has the edge over Alabama. Obviously, head coach Nick Saban hates that. He's a big trash talker, but obviously, I think he's going to look to his team to try to get them to beat out Georgia. I think that's going to be Alabama's next move, is to be better than Georgia. But, I think overall Georgia, once again, like you said, has a huge edge over Alabama currently.
I agree.
And now moving into soccer now, the president of Paris Saint-Germain, the French club, says he may want to invest in a Premier League club in England. So we've been seeing a few owners of different teams kind of share, their own money going into different teams in different countries. How do you feel about these, these rich billionaire owners investing in multiple different teams?
Money-wise, I think they don't need the money, but I think it's good for branding and to kind of get spread out more and to show that they're diverse, if you'll say. But I think they kind of should just stick to what they know, stick to their thing, and kind of keep it at that. But what can they do? If they want to spend their money, get into it, good for them.
We see a few groups of investors in the Boston Red Sox. The company that owns the Boston Red Sox have shares in the Liverpool English club and FC Barcelona. So we've seen multiple international sports teams kind of sharing owners, and I think that's just a great investment, being able to invest in these sports teams, especially great teams in great markets like the Red Sox. Not a great team, but in a great market. And Liverpool.
Right, not a great team.
Like Liverpool and Barcelona, who are good teams in good markets like Spain and England. And now moving on, also going with Paris Saint-Germain, Lionel Messi still on the team. He may move to a new team come the end of the season, but right now he's still with PSG alongside World Cup runner-up Kylian Mbappe, and rumor has it that the schedule is not quite set yet, but they could be playing a friendly match against Cristiano Ronaldo's Saudi Arabian. It's not going to be friendly, but that's the term they call it. Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr club in Saudi Arabia. So how would you feel, the two guys, kind of like LeBron and Jordan right now in soccer, how would you feel about these two guys going up against each other?
I think it would be cool to watch and be interesting, and if you love soccer, it's a great thing to learn from and to see, but I don't think it'll be a friendly match. I think there'll be some sneaky moves, but the people are going to love it. They're going to go crazy. It's the two favorites, the two best, but I don't think it'll be friendly or safe.
These two guys are two of the greatest players of all time. They're 1 and 2 right now. But just to see them go up against each other, obviously we didn't get to see it in the World Cup, but Ronaldo and Messi, the two greatest players of all time. I think it's just going to be a fun watch for everybody, even if you don't love soccer. It's like if you got to see, once again, LeBron and Michael Jordan play against each other. It's just, it's going to be a great game. Obviously, Ronaldo doesn't have that many pieces around him playing in Saudi Arabia for a club that not many people know a lot about. He doesn't have as many pieces as Messi, players like Neymar and Mbappe, but overall, I think Ronaldo's going to give it his all. I think Messi's going to give it his all because it's going to be a legendary matchup. And now moving into baseball, we talked about it before. Carlos Correa, when we first wrote this show, we were talking about Carlos Correa's talks with the Mets had stalled, and he was talking with the Twins. And now, just yesterday, actually, during this TV class,
live,
live, he did sign with the Minnesota Twins. Not as big as a contract as he would have signed with the Giants, which he then got out of, and the Mets, which he then got out of. I saw something that was he signed for over $700 million in 31 years throughout his 3 contracts. How do you feel about Carlos Correa? Obviously, they did end up accepting his physical. How do you feel about, the difficulties with his physical and his new signing now?
I think that the Twins might be a rough home for him. We see them, they have some really talented players. They have Gio Urshela. They do have our former Yankee catcher, Gary Sanchez, which I still love. He's near and dear to my heart. But I don't think the Twins will be a great spot for him. Carlos Correa is really used to the winning mentality, the winning mindset, and I don't think he's going to like having a very stagnant team. I see the Twins as a very stagnant flat team. Do you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, playing with the team last year, Correa just didn't seem like he, loved
He had
the place.
it. It wasn't
he
the
didn't seem like
same.
he loved the place he was at. He was in a okay infield. I mean, he had Luis Arias on the other side of second base, playing second baseman. So, I mean, overall, just not an overall amazing team that's going to blow you away. But I think, pairing him with guys like Byron Buxton is definitely going to help him out in the long run. And again, no trade clause on his 7-year contract. So it's going to be interesting to see, how he feels the next 7 years in Minnesota. I just want to say that it's also kind of funny that you refer to Gio Urshela and Gary Sanchez as good baseball players.
I think they're good.
I would not say that myself.
Look, for the Yankees and for our time being what they had, we didn't really have a player like Gio Urshela for a long time. He's kind of unique. Gary Sanchez, he's near and dear to most Yankee fans' heart. He had his up and downs, but we love him, and I think it's just the way it is. Gio Urshela, to go from him to Donaldson, let's just talk about that really quick. How do you feel?
I mean, I don't love Josh Donaldson. I mean, he's a good defensive third baseman, and he was supposed to come in and be a great offensive third baseman. He's a former MVP, but, I mean, this last season was just rough watching him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely miss Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela, don't get me wrong, but I would definitely have them over Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa any day. Yeah. But at the same time, they just, they weren't the ideal Yankees to have on the team. And I'm glad that we ended up finding a trade, because now I feel like they're better off in a new system. And now we're going to move into college basketball, our final topic. My Duke Blue Devils, unfortunately, moved all the way down from the 5th-ranked team in the nation with these recent losses and tough wins down to number 24 out of 25 in the recent AP poll. They are the 3rd-ranked ACC team right now, behind University of Virginia at 13 and Miami at 16. I mean, how do you feel about such great teams? Virginia, Miami, and Duke. These are all top-ranked teams formerly. Now they're moving down to the down in the AP pool. How do you feel about these teams, falling down from grace?
Honestly, I was kind of shocked. The ACC is usually, everyone says, oh, the basketball conference, and I agree with that. I mean, Boston College, UVA, Miami, like you said, Duke, Chapel Hill, they're usually always the top. There usually is no other contesters. You have a few randoms in there that make it in, but usually they stay consistent. When they have good winning seasons, they kind of stay and keep it at that level. But to be dropping, I'm not sure what the problem is. Do you think you know?
I mean, we had such a tough loss to NC State by over 30 points.
NC State is shockingly picking it up.
They got some great players like Terquavion Smith on their team. Overall, I thought that was such an easy game that we should have won. And we only beat Boston College by 2 points, which was, again, just a game that we should have blown them out of the water in. Duke has been disappointing recently. I thought they were going to be a good team with some new young faces, but I mean, just like the rest of these ACT teams, like North Carolina, who's been more disappointing than Duke, which I'm more than happy about, and Virginia and Miami recently being a bit disappointing. I'm just surprised in the ACC and how they've kind of fallen from grace from how well they were last year and so many seasons prior. And so that'll do it for this week's episode.
Tune in next week for another episode of the #1 weekly sports talk show on Wayne Hills TV. I'm Hook. Just kidding. It's Marissa still.
And I'm Hook. I'm actually Hook. And we'll see you next time on Rico and Hook.